on drugs. It's not the drugs you're thinking of. It's not a joint. It's not fresh white powder up the nose. No, I don't need any of that. I'm on bipolar drugs, which are the unfun drugs. These aren't the kind of drugs that take you on a crazy, wild adventure. These are the drugs that take you on the wild adventure of a hibernating bear. I take drugs to be sober. And then when I'm sober, it looks like I'm on drugs. But there are many worse things that you can be than being bipolar. You could be a Nazi, a pedophile, a Republican in Northern California. But I'm none of those things. I'm bipolar. I'm also a performer, but I like to spin it as a positive, because the crazier I am on stage, the more entertaining I become. But I've come to a point where I want to own my craziness. I want to own being one of the mad ones. Mad ones have done some amazing things. Iconic Batman villain, the Joker, once said, "When life becomes unbearable, remember, there's always madness. Madness is the emergency exit." Okay, for a number of reasons, he isn't the best role model. Especially because madness is not an emergency exit. It's simply become an emergency, with 1 in 4 Americans experiencing mental health conditions at some point. The Huffington Post, April 21st, 2016, adds that mental health has become the highest healthcare cost in America, at over $200 billion, 33% higher than any other condition. A little madness can make us unique, but we can't let it consume us or define us. Madhouse Rhythms by Joshua Walters. Do you remember the first time you fell in love? For me, it was so positive it made me think I was Jesus Christ, a spiritual awakening that put me in 3 psych wards on 11 medications and with dozens of doctors that couldn't help me. But it all started with love. After I fell in love, I would be a little too theatrical. I remember being in theater class and banging the chair down on one of our scenes. The theater teacher was like, maybe you don't have to be that theatrical? So I looked at her and I said, "Don't you know who I am? I'm Jesus." Now, it wasn't that I thought I was Jesus. I knew I was Jesus. And I remember them taking me to the emergency room. They had to hold me down and put syringes in my arms to medicate me. You get these drugs from special drug dealers called psychiatrists. These psychiatrists sometimes know what they're doing. Other times, they don't. The first psychiatrist I ever saw, I call the quack. "Before we get to the medication, how was your day?" How was my day? When do I get off these pills? When do I get normal again? Okay, that's a tough question. I'm not sure I have the answer for you right now. That's our time. I'll see you next week. Then I went to the herbalist. "Remember to breathe. Breathe. Are you taking your herbs? This looks like dirt. Not dirt. Herbs that will make you whole." The spirits are calling. They want me to tell you to remember. To pay me. Remember to pay. Finally, I came upon the golden psychiatrist. Sometimes, just hearing her voicemail was enough. "Hello, you've called the General Psychiatry Building." That's what stability sounds like. I mean, if they were like, "Hey, you called the crazy docs. You need some pills?" I wouldn't have felt that comfort. But I was always over-medicated, eating and sleeping too much. In high school, eating burritos, falling asleep, and drooling all over my desk. I was flunking out. I've also had trouble with relationships. If I were to do an impression of every relationship I've ever been in, using my face, it would look like this. And when do you let them know that you're bipolar? When do you take the precious meds? Do you wait for the evening to be over, when she goes to the bathroom? Wait for the very first kiss? You get the lips ready. You're leaning in. Is that when you let them know? I was with this woman at a camp, and I was like, I'm sorry. You shouldn't date me. These are not vitamins. It was awkward. But that night, we ended up in the same sleeping bag. And then I got a nosebleed. So I'm bleeding all over her, myself, and I think to myself, it's okay, because someday this'll make a great story. She was freaked out. But very nice. Because when you encounter someone who's really crazy, you become really nice. Then I stopped taking my meds. Lost track of reality again. My father said, you were running around the house with your little voice recorder. We had to take you to the place. It wasn't like a cop car ride in the back seat. No, in an ambulance, you get to stretch out. And they have these nice little straps. You don't bounce around. And then when you get to the psych ward, they put you in this little smock. It's like a backwards pajamas, but no pants. And sanity's kind of slipping, so you pee yourself. Pop says, it's okay. Everyone does it. In 20 years, I'm going to be doing it. And I remember everyone doing their own one-man show. But there was no audience. It wasn't for the money, not the fame, just for the love of performing. None of my meds were working. Expert specialists in bipolar couldn't help me. We're going to have to ECT. Shock therapy. The next day, they said, I just snapped out of it. But I can't remember because my memory was wiped clean. From that moment onward, it was a process of getting better. My family would sit around every Friday night and have dinner, tell stories, with hours of unconditional love. We're all friends or family of mad ones. My friend is one. We used to laugh because we were mad ones together. And one night, he came home drunk, threw his hands at me. So I put my hands around him. He started to just swing at me. He had a kitchen knife, reeled it back. And then he dropped it. His necklace was on the floor that said, "This too shall pass." He looked at me. I looked at him. But it wasn't him. I remember holding him. We cried. He said, "What do we do?" My friend didn't want meds or doctors because he didn't trust them. My journey to getting better started with acceptance. Mad ones are addicted to love.